What is up, you guys? Welcome back to another video, and I hope everyone had an amazing day. Welcome back. Welcome back to another video from Wansee Entertainment. 3 true road rage horror stories. If you have not yet, if you're new, welcome. Like, comment, subscribe, all that great stuff. And now that I'm evolving, I need a name. A name for my supporters. I'm thinking something spiritual, something like creative, like the Dragonflies. Tell me what you think. The Dragonflies. So sit back, relax. Let's do it.
About 5 years ago, I worked at a job where I would finish late, end up driving home around 1 in the morning. Most of the route I took was in the countryside surrounded by woods. I drove past quite a few people who needed help, so I always had jumper cables, spare gas, and other tools I might need in my car. One rainy night, when I was driving home, I noticed a parked car on the side of the road with their hazard lights on. I pulled over in front of their car and got out to see what was the problem. When I got out, two young men in their 20s stepped out. I asked them what the problem was, and one of the men said their car wouldn't start and asked if I could help them. I don't know what it was, but I instantly felt on edge around these guys, like I needed to be on guard or something.
Yep. Get back in your car and roll out.
I expected one of them to go back in the car and pop the hood. However, one of them just sort of signaled someone in the car. That's when I really looked into the car and noticed there were 2 more people inside. That's when I felt like something was really wrong. I opened the hood, took a quick look. I noticed one of the men gave a nod to the other men in the car. I was believing my instincts at that.
If you suspecting a red flag, why would you continue to help them? If something doesn't feel right, just leave. That's all.
And that something bad was about to happen. I quickly thought up an excuse to get back into my car. I said to them that I think I knew what the problem was. I would just go back to my car and get the tool that I needed. I walked back to my car trying to look normal. I remember thinking one of the men was going to attack me from behind. When I got close to my car, I quickly got inside and started my car and drove away. I'm glad I knew it was a trap because shortly after, a car came speeding down the road.
I thought they did something to your car, man.
It was the car claiming to be broken down. The man driving kept turning into my car, almost making contact. One of the men opened their window and was throwing what I guess was loose change and junk at my car. The same guy throwing things then pulled out a knife and started scratching and stabbing at the windows, causing them to chip and crack. The driver turned his car into mine, this time making contact. I had to turn my car into theirs just so I wouldn't crash off the side of the road. I slammed on my brakes and so did they shortly after. The men then got out of the car and started running toward mine.
Go!
At that point though, I had already started driving and drove past them in the car. I don't know if I lost them or if they just gave up, as I didn't see them again after that. I've never feared for my life as much as I did that moment. About 3 days later, I read on the news that 2 men had been robbed and severely beaten by a group of men who claimed that their car was broken down. I'm glad I trusted my instincts and knew to leave.
Person just sits and just think, what can we do to scare people? Hey, let's go down the road and pretend that we need help with our car. Okay.
This story happened about 5 years ago. My dad had recently retired, and we had always talked about touring the United States. We bought a third-hand RV and began our road trip around America. We were about halfway through our journey, and so far we had no problems and enjoyed all the places we visited. The RV had a few problems being third-hand, but nothing too serious that we couldn't fix on the side of the road. We were driving late in the evening around 10 o'clock when the RV started to make noises. That was usually an indication to us that we needed to get out and make a few adjustments. We pulled into a parking lot next to a bar and took a look, and I suggested that we take a little break and had a drink in the bar. As we were walking towards the bar, I noticed there were motorcycles parked outside, and it actually looked like a motorcycle gang was hanging around. We were in the bar and we had some food and drinks. At one point, I looked around the bar and I noticed two men who were in motorcycle jackets pointing in our direction. The two men approached us and aggressively told us that we were in their parking spot and needed to move. I knew my dad was going to say something, but I interrupted him before he could speak and said to the two men that we'll move our RV. I wasn't going to cause trouble. These men looked dangerous.
Excuse me, I don't see your name
There were
on
more
it.
outside. We paid the bill and we left the bar. As we were outside, I remember that we hadn't quite fixed the RV yet. I told my dad to wait inside and I will finish adjusting the RV so we could get back on the road as soon as possible.
How about you
One
stick
of the men
together?
who approached us earlier asked why we weren't gone yet. I told him that the RV had some problems and I needed to fix it. The man told me in a very stern voice that we better be going in 5 minutes. He made a point of revealing his handgun as he said this. I quickly finished the RV and we got going again. While we were driving, I heard motorcycles loudly behind us. One bike sped up and got in front of us while the other one surrounded the RV. I didn't understand why they were after us. We did everything they said and they were still harassing us. I knew
Right,
the men
like,
were armed, and if we stopped, we were probably going to get hurt or worse. I told my dad to continue driving no matter what. I tried calling the police, but I couldn't get through. My dad said just to keep calling them until
because
they
I'm
pick up.
confused at this
So
point.
that's what I continued to do. The RV started to make noises again, and it wasn't long before the engine cut out. We had no
Oh,
choice but to stop. The men got off their bikes and started approaching the RV, but for some reason they quickly turned around, got on their bikes, and drove away.
the police.
My dad pointed in front, and he said, "There's the police." We saw flashing lights coming down the road. I got out on the side of the road just to try to stop the police car, but as it got closer, I saw it was an ambulance. The flashing blue and red lights were enough to scare the bikers away. Me and my dad decided to let it go. We fixed the
Thank
RV and
God.
continued our trip. I'm to this day grateful that the blue and red flashing lights saved me and my dad from probably death.
Yep. Grateful, grateful, grateful. Because one, it's not your parking spot. I just see your name on it or your reservation. Two, you told us to leave or else. Three, you're still chasing us. Like,
This story happened a long time ago when I was in my late teens. I had recently got my first car and I would always drive my friends and I around, usually to a bar called Frank's Bar that our friend Peter's father owned. It had pool tables and darts there, so that's where we hung out most of the time. One night, like most nights, I was driving some friends to the bar. During the drive, a man started driving close to my car, beeping his horn and trying to overtake me. One of my friends said to not let him over in order to annoy him. I didn't let him pass. My friends and I laughed at the man's frustrations. For some reason, the man slammed on his brakes, nearly crashing into a barrier on the side of the road. We continued to laugh. Then we arrived at Frank's Bar. We had dinner, played pool, and had a few drinks. As Peter's dad owned the bar, we would always stay late past closing time. My other friends had left a little earlier that night, so it was just me and Peter. It was midnight when I decided it was time to head home. I said bye to Peter and his dad, and I left the bar. When I got outside, I expected my car to be the only one in the parking lot, but there was another car parked near mine. A man
that
was
smoke.
standing outside his car, sipping on a liquor bottle, watching me. I knew right away it was the man that nearly ran off the road. I kept my head down, trying not to make any eye contact, and I got into my car. When I got in and started my car, so did the man. I drove off down the road, and so did the man following me close behind. I barely got down the road when the man started aggressively tailgating me. He drove up beside me, waving his hands at me. It looked like he wanted me to pull over. I wasn't going to, and I continued driving and looked away. The man started beeping his horn, and when I looked back at him, he was holding a handgun, pointing it right at me. My instinct was to drive faster, and the man accelerated as well. I saw my mirror, and the man somehow lost control of his car, causing him to swerve. I didn't see what exactly happened as I was focusing on the road, concentrating to driving fast and to get away from this guy. I didn't see that man again that night, and from then on, I always worried when I went back to Frank's Bar that I would see that man again. Thankfully, I never did.
Yep. Wow. My oh my. It's obviously the man was drunk, out of his mind, going crazy like that. And for the Barky people, y'all crazy. You told me to move, I'll move, and y'all still harassing us. I don't understand. It's not your reservation park. And the first one is something telling you red flags. Listen to your gut, listen to your intuition, because most likely it's accurate. So yeah, just can't have nobody on the road. Tell you guys what you think about this video. Be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Dragonflies. Yeah, and have the most awesome positive day. Stay blessed, stay grateful, and peace.